The $3 million single-level wool store covers an area of more than 14,000 square metres. It replaces 5 multi-storey wool sheds which stood for 30 years on the Hannell Street site. The new wool store is capable of holding up to 21,000 bales, and Elders says it expects to move up to 60,000 bales through its stores this year. The official opening on Tuesday came a day before the 4th series of Newcastle wool sales for this financial year, which could help to explain the 500 wool growers who came from as far away as Moree to avail themselves of Elders' hospitality at the opening ceremony. One thing was certain, however, no matter how many turned up, this venue was never likely to be overcrowded. Managing Director of Elders Pastoral, Michael Hamilton, who opened the wool store, says it's one of the most advanced in Australia.
Well, there's a great deal of efficiencies in this type of store. We've built similar stores to this now in South Australia, in Adelaide, at Lara, Geelong, and we've got a great deal of expertise in designing stores to improve efficiencies of handling. And modern techniques require a single level store such as you've got here. The old traditional wool stores were 2, 3 and 4 stories, very expensive to operate.
Mr Hamilton says he is confident of the future of the wool industry, both for the hunter and for Australia.
Wool is riding the crest of a wave at the moment. I think it's encouraging that we're looking to celebrate our 200th birthday next year, and in a sense we're back to where we began. Australia on the sheep's back as its first real industry and doing very well at the moment. There's good solid demand for wool right around the world. Australian wool is in high demand and auction prices reflect that.
And how about hunter wool?
Yes, well, Hunter Valley wool is good wool that's in high demand. People recognise brands, they buy particular clips. The buyers of the world know where the wool comes from, and the wool that will go through this store is in high demand.
Mr Hamilton also believes that Hunter Valley growers will not suffer adversely if a policy of centralisation of wool handling is adopted.
Clearly centralisation is a very sensitive issue at the moment, and those that are involved in the negotiations understand that the various aspects of each party that's involved has got to be considered. As far as we're concerned, we remain optimistic about Newcastle. This investment is evidence of our commitment for Newcastle. The centralisation issue really is going to result in the costs of sale being identified. Each grower will be treated equitably. The buying strength will be equitably placed in the market. We think it's a good thing for the industry, but we don't see that Newcastle or anywhere else should be sacrificed on the way through. We're very positive about Newcastle.
Eastern Nitrogen is producing 170,000 tonnes of solid ammonium nitrate a year. The company's $27 million expansion will increase production by 80,000 tonnes.
The expansion consists of 2 plants, a 200 tonne a day nitric acid plant due to be commissioned early in 1989 and a 300 tonne a day ammonium nitrate granulation plant due to be commissioned in the middle of 1989.
Mr Horner says the extra production will meet the growing market for fertiliser and explosive-grade ammonium nitrate on Australia's east coast. American company DM Weatherly will build the $10 million nitric acid plant, while negotiations are underway to acquire technology for the ammonium nitrate plant. Work will begin early next year. There has been concern about Eastern Nitrogen's viability.
If the project hadn't come to Newcastle and had been done, for instance, in Brisbane rather than here, then the viability of the site would have been threatened and it would have been necessary to look at trimming numbers on the site.
Construction will involve about 100 people, but staff levels aren't expected to increase greatly once the project is complete. Mr Horner says staff numbers are changeable.
In the long term, it's always necessary as a company to react to the competitive market in which one exists, and this company would have to react like any other company should those market circumstances change.
The expansion should overcome problems with air pollution, and Mr Horner says the project will benefit the community.
Once the plant is fully operational, something like $10 million will be spent in the local community thereafter. $10 million per annum.
There was certainly plenty of fanfare. Marquees were set up, a brass band was in full flight, and schoolchildren had been imported from far and wide. The occasion was the opening of a massive enlargement to Glenbawn Dam. The extension, built at a cost of $45 million, has taken 3 years to complete and doubles the dam's capacity. It involved extending the height of the dam wall by 24 metres. Premier Barry Unsworth and Water Resources Minister Janice Crozier were on hand for the official opening.
I now have great pleasure in declaring open the enlargement of Glenbawn Dam.
Throughout the day, it became quite clear that there is a state election in the air.
With the retirement of Col Fisher, we're going to take every opportunity we can to regain the seat of Upper Hunter, and of course with the change in the electoral boundaries, the area of Singleton now comes into the Cessnock seat, which will be represented after the election by Stan Neely.
He said on several occasions that his government is particularly concerned with getting back to basics, providing things such as sewerage and electricity.
Mr Unsworth said the ALP had taken a lot of flack recently for building things, a reference to the controversial monorail and Darling Harbour. But he said they won't be taking flack for building this because there was nothing more basic than water.
On the eve of talks between Mr Unsworth and the federal government on the issue of the ailing coal industry, Mr Unsworth gave a hint that there may be some future relief for the coal miners.
I think you'll find that between now and the election there'll be some proposals coming forward which will delight the coal miners.
What are those proposals?
The next few weeks will be a stressful time for about 3,000 students statewide. For in this time, they'll be sitting for the exams which will conclude their secondary school education. Yes, the HSC is the result of a lifetime of schooling. This morning, we spoke to Frank Williams from the Department of Education about the upcoming HSC.
There are no plans for scrapping the high school certificate. It will stay just as it is for 88, 89 and for the foreseeable future.
But any change to or strike regarding the HSC was the last thing on the minds of some 3,000 students. For in the past weeks, they have been studying diligently, cramming as many facts as possible before the exams kick off on Tuesday with a 2-hour English paper. At Cardiff High on Tuesday morning, many tense students congregated outside the exam hall for a word of goodwill from their headmaster.
We know that we're all going to go from here and put our bet on rising fear, I think might be a topic bet for the day, as far as we're concerned.
Well, the fear was rising, but let's hope they perform better than Larry Pickering's racehorse, who ran third last. By the looks of it, they did, for there were plenty of smiling faces as nearly 100 relieved students filed out of the exam hall.
It's okay, I suppose. It's a bit too hot in there, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it harder than you thought?
The comprehension was fairly hard, but the other two I thought were all right, I suppose, yeah.
Did you have enough time?
Just, yeah. I didn't get time to read over my things, so...
Thought it was pretty good, what you could expect from a paper, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, it's all right. A bit rushed, I think. A little bit rushed. It's all right, except for that.
How about the comprehension part?
Comprehension? What do you think? Which part was that?
Oh, yeah, it's all right, I suppose. Yeah. Just the topic area was pretty hard.
Area, yeah. The topic area.
Yeah. The topic area was really pretty hard.
Was it?
Yep.
Because you're a bit rushed for time after you've done the rest, and then get the last one, you don't get quite finish it.
The question's a bit hard to understand, basically.
Developers have agreed to establish a new Lake Macquarie art gallery in the proposed Glendale shopping centre, if the centre is approved by Planning and Environment Minister Bob Carr. We'll bring you a full report on that tonight.
For all the news, join us tonight at 6.
In tonight's news at 6, 2 men armed with a shotgun this morning held up the New Lambton branch of the Commonwealth Bank. Wearing balaclavas, they got away in a stolen car, which was later found dumped in a nearby laneway.
For all the news, join us tonight at 6.
Lake Macquarie Council hopes work will begin on the massive Glendale shopping centre next April. If it does, the old Lake Macquarie Gallery in Main Road Spears Point will close. The Lake Macquarie Council is collecting artworks and wants to transfer its collection to a new gallery in the Glendale Centre. City planner Don Caldwell believes it may be the first public gallery ever established in a shopping centre in Australia.
In floor space it'll be 4 times greater than the old one, and of course that'll allow us to put on a greater range of exhibitions.
How do you expect the public to respond to something like that in a shopping centre?
I think there'll be a remarkable response. We've had good responses to the gallery here, but it is a little bit out of the way and it's very difficult for some people to get up the stairs. This gallery will be easily accessible.
He says if the shopping centre goes ahead, so will the gallery, and he expects to receive Planning and Environment Minister Bob Carr's answer to the proposal within 2 months. The $150 million shopping centre would cover more than 100,000 square metres, and he says would be larger than Newcastle's Central Business District. Mr Caldwell says Newcastle Council is attempting to stop the centre going ahead, as it fears it will take shoppers away from Newcastle's CBD. However, he says developments at Waratah, Jesmond, Katara and the Junction have already reduced retail trading in the centre of Newcastle.
Last month, Vegemite Reggae, a band well known around the local night spots, launched its debut single, Send It Out. It's been a big year for the group, which took out the 1987 Star Music Award. Next month, the band's first album will hit the airways. If you're looking for it on the shelves, Trendy X Hippies is hoped to be the launching path that will take the group into national stardom. To help with recording costs, the Performing Arts Board at the Australia Council has chosen Vegemite Reggae as one of the recipients for the Grant Assistance Program, awarding the band $3,000, and it seems the action is to continue. On Sunday week, the band will play at a huge Mardi Gras in the Manly Corso, organised to set a world record. You guessed it, the largest Vegemite sandwich ever made.
The Bogey Hole is the first novel written by local author Barbara Coombs. It was given its official launch last night by the member for Maitland, Alan Walsh. The novel traces the fictional life of 6 generations of Hunter women and, in so doing, some of the life of the Hunter Valley from 1818 to 1972. The name of the book reflects Barbara Coombs' belief in the influence of history on us all.
I have a great belief in threads that go through families, you know, that we hand down something to each generation.
Mrs Coombs says the novel was inspired by her strong feelings about the dismissal of the Whitlam government in 1975. And although the Bogey Hole does not actually take in that event, it's been for her a way of making sense of those feelings.
So many ancestors were working toward a free Australia, an Australia that was, well, a Republican Australia. If you look back, it was a very strong Republican feeling way back. And I think that when that happened, and most of us didn't do anything about it, you know, we just let it happen, I think we felt a certain feeling of guilt about it, and I think that was really what I was trying to sort out for myself. And actually it helped me, I'm not angry anymore.
Teachers from about 320 Hunter Valley primary and secondary schools attended stop work meetings yesterday at Cardiff, Maitland and Muswellbrook to discuss the strike proposal. According to the Teachers Federation, the state government has rejected proposed economies to offset a 4% second-tier wage increase, choosing instead to introduce their own constraints, especially in the area of relief teaching time. Federation Vice President Janet McLean says the measures would be detrimental to teachers and students.
It will be very, very inconvenient for students every day of their learning career if they are going to have to be split up and put into other teachers' classes. And this is one of the provisions that the government wants. They want us to they don't want to provide relief for teacher absences.
The strike will take place on Thursday, and although higher school certificate markers are also involved, the Teachers Federation says it won't affect the marking of papers.
Try to think of each of these 9 concrete slabs as giant shower nozzles. They'll be taken 1,500 metres out to sea off Burwood Beach. They'll be lowered onto the ocean floor, then connected by tunnels to Burwood's new sewerage outflow pipe, allowing effluent to be safely diluted into the ocean through over 70 valves on the slabs. Engineer Hans Blauler says it's quite an engineering feat.
The whole operation then is dropping the head onto the reef surface, diver goes down, examines the position, comes up again, and tells the superintendent on the barge how much he has to move it, and he tries then to coordinate, I think, the wave action and the swell and everything else so that he can lift that head in between 2 wave crests.
It sounds easy, but each concrete starfish must settle onto the seabed within 10 centimetres of the target. Impossible to achieve this accuracy from a 600-tonne barge in a heavy swell without the help of divers.
Usually the currents aren't too bad at this time of the year. They should get a little bit worse as the summer goes on. But visibility's been very poor, really. It's talking about 3 metres maximum, down to about 0.
To help the engineers, the divers carry a special underwater video camera allowing detailed inspection of the site from on board the barge. Once the diffuser heads are in place, another rig will drill down through the centre of the slabs, connecting them to a tunnel running 70 metres underground from the onshore treatment works. When it's finished late next year, the Burwood Outfall will end a pollution problem that has prevented the people of Newcastle from enjoying one of their finest beaches for decades.
This is a commercial now promoting the statewide campaign to find out the demands for elective surgery in public hospitals.
If you think you're being made to wait too long for your surgery, phone the New South Wales Healthline. What are you waiting for?
And this is 76-year-old William O'Toole and his wife Gladys. Because of their pension income, 3 years ago William applied for elective surgery at the Royal. He was told by his doctor he'd have to wait at least 6 to 8 months for the operation that would replace his right knee. Since then, the O'Tooles have contacted the hospital a number of times. But during the last call, only a few weeks ago, they were informed William's doctor had retired last year and that he'd have to reapply for surgery and his case reassessed. Angry at the long delay, he says 3 years of pain have brought more than discomfort.
But you can't kneel down, you can't play bowls or any sport at all like you did. You can't go for a walk too far because, you know, it's just you can feel it now when you're just walking that bit of a distance, eh?
Elective surgery is described as that which is not medically life-threatening. The orthopaedic operation William is to undergo has been delayed because of lack of surgeons. It's usual for one hospital to appoint 8 to 9 full-time surgeons. The Royal has 1. However, the situation will soon change when another surgeon and professor are appointed next year. Chief Executive Officer of the Area Health Board, Dr Owen James, says surgery in public hospitals suffered a mighty blow during the doctors' dispute in 1985. When the doctors walked out, many didn't return, and services like elective surgery are still recovering. But it seems the O'Toole's long wait may soon be over.
So happens that in the normal process of things,
Mr O'Toole will have his operation by the end of this year.
For the O'Tooles, there's a happy ending, finally. But they say their case is just 1 in a million and predict that the state's health hotline will be well and truly warmed up.
Newcastle City Council has given the go-ahead for the building of the new taxation office, now that the developer has met strict parking requirements. Tavalon has bought the former Shortland County Council depot site for more than $1 million.
For all the news, join us tonight at 6.
So many times you hear about a sportsman getting to the top of their sport the hard way without any sponsorship. Well, today there was good news for world champion wave skier John Christensen, who was presented with a Mazda four-wheel drive Traveller for the next 12 months. Valued at $35,000, John will now be able to get to all the best spots, both to train and compete.
He operates in an area that needs to get a vehicle close to the water. He needs to be able to go where he wants to go to without having to worry about car parks. And we think that the recreational market is something that hasn't really been used for its full potential, and we'd like to help John reach a lot of other people who do the same sorts of things as John does in his spare time.
The winner of the last two World Championships in 1984 and 86, John's next biggest test will be the Wave Ski World Cup, to be held in conjunction with next year's Surf Fest at Newcastle. He says having the vehicle will be a big boost to his very busy schedule over the next 12 months.
It means a lot to me, David. I travel around the country quite a lot to all the contests, and it just provides me with transport to all these contests, and hopefully I can promote it while I'm attending the contests.